Hi everyone, this is Russ Siegel here. Thanks for joining me today. My company is Premier Entrepreneurship Group, and for 16 years we've been helping small business owners work less, make more money, and have more fulfilling lives. And I'm glad that you joined me today. Looking forward to covering some of my favorite smartphone apps. Um, this is really all about the things that I have found over the last few years that have enhanced productivity, not just for me, but for other folks as well. So today we're going to talk a little bit about small business apps and smartphone apps in general. If you don't own a small business, you may still find some things here that are of value to you, because there are going to be some apps that are great for travel or for anything else that you might do at home or with your family. You're going to find that they don't just have one application, but they do work great for someone who is trying to run a small business and keep up with everything in the world. And you know that if you have a small business, you have a lot of balls in the air, you have a lot of things to juggle, and so some of these apps will actually make your life a little easier and help take some of that worry away, all the head trash that you take home with you in the evening, all the things that you forgot to do or forgot to put on your to-do list. Some of these apps will help you out with that as well. Now, we at Premier Entrepreneurship Group offer resources for small businesses. We encourage you to visit our website, and we also specialize in training small business assistance organizations. These are the lenders, the economic development organizations, the institutions that are there to assist small business owners in whatever community you live. And we've been doing this for about 16 years. I want to make sure that you are going to get some value today. So are you going to get more out of this than just going and maybe grabbing a sandwich and watching some reruns? I want to make sure that at the end of our time today, you have some tools that are going to help you save time, keep up with things, because we know that, again, as small business owners, you tend to do everything. You're a jack of all trades, and so you want to make sure that you can keep up with everything. Staying organized. You know, we thought that when we got smartphones, they would be smart enough to keep us organized, and it was only in the last year or so when some really smart apps hit the market to help us stay organized, because the old calendar that's built in on your smartphone, quite frankly, just doesn't cut it anymore. We also want some apps that are going to help us play nice with others. We want some apps that are going to help you stay connected with people you work with, to projects that you're working on, to be able to have meetings. And one of the great things that I love about a smartphone these days is it enables you to have a face-to-face meeting with anyone, anywhere, at any time. You don't have to travel. You don't have to be right in front of someone to be able to meet and cover all the things that you need to do. And, well, one of the things that you see right here on Google Plus is the ability to share some things over a screen, and we don't all have to be in the same room. Your smartphone is really a Swiss Army knife for business. And the first smartphone I ever had was a BlackBerry, and I just thought it was fantastic. And for the time, it really was, because I could check email from almost anywhere. And man, I thought I'd really made it. But then I graduated on up and got an iPhone, and found out that there were a lot of other things that a smartphone should be able to do. And when iPhones introduced the concept of apps, they really expanded the capability of the phone. And I saw an old Radio Shack newspaper ad from 1982 the other day. Everything that was in that ad can be done on my phone, from the camera to the video camera to, of course, the phone, but the video games. All kinds of other things that were in that ad really amazed me, that we carry this around in our pocket these days. And it comes in the form of apps. So what's an app anyway? Well, this is the modern way we buy software. Some of these apps are free, but they're little pieces of software that sit on your device, and it performs a task, or it leads you to a site or a larger application where you can get something done. Some of these apps are merely gateways or portals into an online site that does what you need it to do. In a lot of instances, the app itself performs an amazing array of tasks, and again, gives you an enormous capability right there in your pocket. So what have I done to help you get here? Well, I've spent some time separating the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. I've looked at smartphone apps. I've tried a lot of things. I'm an app junkie. I have to try everything new coming and going. In fact, periodically I have to go through and delete a lot of things from my apps. You know, the Marines will periodically go through their rucksacks and take out things that they don't need, and I have to do this myself. I carry around a lot of things, not just a computer, but a lot of AV materials and things with me. So periodically I'll sit down and I'll go through and I'll question the necessity of every single thing in my bag, and I have to do that with my apps as well. I question the necessity. How much use am I getting out of this? Is it good, high quality stuff? So I came up with some criteria that I think you could use as well as I did in the evaluation of some of the apps that you use. Number one, you want it to be an established app, something that's more than just a smartphone app. And you can look out there at hundreds of thousands of different apps. Most of them are here today and gone tomorrow. It's something someone tried, they put it up in the App Store or on Google Play, and they never support it. They don't have any back-end support to give you any kind of value. Most of the apps that I'm going to show you today they're more than just smartphone apps. They are applications that also have websites and online presence, and they are very high quality. They get frequent updates and upgrades, and of course, you know, none of us, well, I won't say none, I would venture to say very few of us really enjoy the frequent updates that Facebook rolls out on a periodic basis. But you know, there are some of us who would like to go back to the very first format of Facebook. But times move on and things change and capabilities change. And so you want a company that is going to update their app. It's going to keep it fresh and frequent and make sure that you have great capability, not just today, but in the future. You want the designers and the developers to be thinking of things that you haven't yet thought of, so that when you get to that place and you click that app open, it does exactly what you need it to do at that time. We also want these things to be intuitive. If I open an app and it's not easy to learn and I have to fumble my way around and then I have to go to the website to figure out what am I supposed to enter here, I just delete it. Look, apps are supposed to be easy. That's the whole concept. So if it's not intuitive, we don't need to spend our time with it. Your app should actually save you time. And we want things to be easy to use. If it doesn't work well with the way you work and it doesn't integrate well with the things that you do, then you're probably not going to get any use out of it. It's just going to sit there and take up a little space on your phone. That might be a picture that you're not able to add later on. So my advice to you is use these criteria and then don't be afraid to pay for a good app. There are a lot of folks out there who will say, well, you know, apps should be free. I just want the free apps. Well, that's fine. I have started with a lot of apps that were free, but there's a concept called freemium. It starts as free, but then you realize, man, this test drive is great, but I'm just not able to go as fast as I want to take it. So they encourage you to buy more capability, more speed, more storage, more features, and that's okay if it works for you. Sometimes the free stuff just gives you a little taste, and it's enough to make you want more. And if it's a really good app, go ahead and pay for it. Some of these apps are a one-time purchase. Some, like many of the ones that I'm going to show you today, are an annual subscription. But that's okay too. If an annual subscription saves you some headaches and gives you peace of mind and makes your life better, so be it. Again, apps are the way we buy software these days. So I've looked at some of the most common app categories for small businesses. One of the things that we want to talk about is document management. The beauty of a smartphone is the ability to carry your documents, your filing cabinet, around in your pocket. And the things that you can do with those documents now is amazing. I will tell you that there is an app that I left out inadvertently, and I'll try to remember to cover that. It's called DocuSign, but we're gonna make sure that we get to the most important things that you're going to be able to use right now. I have also found that as you begin to use certain apps, it leads you to find other apps that work well with it, that play nice with it, that add to it, and that give you more capability. So sometimes you'll find an app that just doesn't do everything you want it to do, but it will lead you to something else that helps you out. We also want apps that help us collaborate. It's more than just a phone. Yes, you can collaborate by making a phone call, but you can do so much more. You can share documents. You can work on things simultaneously, and you can have meetings with others face-to-face around the world, all from a little device that weighs about as much as a pack of cards. I still think that's fantastic. But hey, I'm still a guy who thinks it's amazing that we can have fax machines, which were actually invented back in the 1800s, believe it or not. But that you can put a piece of paper in a machine and it comes out somewhere else on another machine, still blows my mind. So don't think that I'm this tech guy who knows everything, because sometimes I just don't know what I'm talking about, but I know enough to get by. And so that's where we are today. If that didn't scare you off, hang with me. We also want to look at things that are going to help us with our financial management, help us manage the numbers, keep up with numbers, and be able to interact with our customers, get paid, all the good things that keep our businesses going. A lot of small business owners, even though we have the collaboration capabilities, we still travel. I still do a lot of travel. And so, you know, if you travel a lot, how hectic things can get and how frazzled you can be. And I have found some apps that I'm going to show you today that will take that harried feeling of travel away. It will help you stay organized. It will make sure you don't miss anything. It will make sure that all the information you need is right in your pocket. No more having to carry around maps and confirmation numbers and check-in numbers and all this other stuff that you have to have. Even boarding passes now you can do on your smartphone. And ultimately, we go to the, I guess you could say, the biggest category. Most of the things that we covered today are just going to keep you organized, but I'm going to talk about some things that will specifically keep you organized. As a small business owner, you know that it's very easy to just work and work and work and never stop. And one of the things that keeps us from stopping is a drive to succeed, yes. But it's also this thing called the Zeigarnik effect. The Zeigarnik effect was concocted by a Russian psychologist who posited that the things we put on our to-do lists, if left undone, they cause us a little bit of mental anguish or trauma. And so every time we make a to-do list and it grows and grows and grows, and you probably have one of these or have had one of these in the past, you know that the to-do list can grow like a leviathan. It just gets bigger and bigger until it finally swallows you, and one day you look at your to-do list and you say, I'll never get this done. I'm just not going to do it. And then you start to slash and burn. What are the things that I can do without? What are the things that I can avoid doing? What if I left it off my list, if I just didn't do it? If things won't burn down around me, then I'm just not going to do it. So there are apps out there that will keep us on track, help us avoid that Zeigarnik effect, because if we actually get done the things that we want to get done, there's no mental anguish or trauma that tracks us and follows us around and follows us home. And again, if you're just using the basic notes or the calendar app on your smartphone, I'm going to give you some things that are probably going to blow your mind today. So let's talk first about document management and storage. 3 of my favorite apps, well, I'll take that back. 2 of my favorite apps and one that I'm getting to know. Number 1, Dropbox. Got to be one of my all-time top 3 apps. I love Dropbox. If my children were here, I would probably joke that I love it more than my children. But since they're not here, I know I'll get in trouble. Somebody will mention that, so I'll just shut up. Dropbox is fantastic. It gives you the ability to back up files from any computer Open them on any computer, anywhere. Those files can sit directly on or in a file on your computer, and it syncs with all of your other devices instantly. So if you save something, if you save a picture, or if you save a note in your Dropbox app on your phone, you can go back to your computer, open it up, and there it is. Also, if you're on your computer and you know that you're going to need a document, you're going to need to look at a bid when you're out in the field, and you don't want to take the paper, you might lose it, or you forgot the paper. If you saved that bid to your Dropbox, you can open it up using your thumb. You can see it there, you can share it with others, you can send it, and if you have some of the other apps that we talk about, you're going to be able to manipulate it and do some things with it. Now, Box is probably one of the hottest things on the market right now in terms of document storage and sharing apps. And I've used Box in the past, and I'm learning to love it again, because Box, while you can share documents with Dropbox, and Dropbox is a great way, you know, back in the day when we had to FTP files, just because they were so large, you couldn't send it through an email, and you didn't have another way to send it. Well, when Dropbox came on the scene, we were finally able to put those huge, bulky files in a folder and then share that Dropbox folder with someone else. And then Box came along and said, you know, Dropbox may not be quite as secure as it needs to be. So if your business deals with legal documents, surveys, anything that's of a sensitive nature, look, if it's too sensitive, you probably work for the NSA and you've got access to everyone's documents anyway. But if you have to protect documents, Box is the way to go. It's extremely easy and intuitive to use. You can actually log into it using your Facebook account, and a lot of apps will allow you to do that. Either using your Google Plus account, your Twitter account, or your Facebook account. My recommendation is to go ahead and set up your account through your email. I've never been a big fan of logging in through a third-party app, because you always play by someone else's rules, and if anything goes wrong, then you're stuck. So make sure that you log in with a unique username and password. You can share your Box account. You can share sensitive documents. It is a little more secure, and I really like what they're doing at Box. Now, OneDrive is newer, and again, I'm getting used to OneDrive. If you have Windows 8 or if you have the new Office 365, you know that OneDrive used to be called SkyDrive, and OneDrive is almost the default place to save all of your documents from Windows or from your Microsoft Office 365 accounts. They really want you to use this. Now, you can share documents through that, and if you're a big Microsoft fan, this is probably the way to go. It's very simple to use. Again, on your smartphone, you can set all of these apps up to sync automatically with certain other applications. Let's say, for example, you are terrible at backing up your photos, and you know, photos and videos can eat a lot of space on your hard drive, on your disk, on your phone, and you need a way to automatically move those things away. So if you save anything to your picture file on your computer, for example, Dropbox will automatically pick that up and sync it and save it to the cloud. So what's the cloud? Well, the cloud is just a bunch of computers linked together. Back when I was first learning about computers, we had what were called dumb terminals. The dumb terminals linked to a mainframe, usually in the basement of a large building somewhere, and it had to be. You could always tell which building it was because it had the most air conditioning, and they had to keep those things cool. But that dumb terminal wouldn't do anything. Well, now we actually have smart terminals. Our computers will do stuff, but they also link into this great mainframe in the sky, this cloud, which is actually just a lot of other computers hooked together. We don't have that bus-sized computer anymore. Don't have to. But you can have these automatically pick up certain files from certain places on your computer and from your smartphone and store those so that you don't have to worry about moving those files. And then what happens if your phone gets lost or stolen? Well, you still have all those pictures that you took of the family vacation or of that machine part in Virginia that you needed to pick up or have shipped to you. You still have exactly that. And so when it comes to saving documents, I'm a little anal retentive. I will actually generally save it to 2 places besides my hard drive. If you have a computer, and if you've had a computer for any length of time, you know that it's not a matter of if, but when your hard drive will go out. And so I recommend these apps in terms of making sure you have a place to go when that disaster does occur. We have some other things here that I want you to take a look at in terms of the document storage. I've mentioned Office 365. If you buy that, and it's an annual subscription, and I think it's well worth it. I think they've made some significant improvements. There are always some things in the Microsoft updates that I don't like, but I think they've done some things right this time around, and they have finally made Office applications available on your smartphone. Now, they've been available on the smartphone for quite a while, but they just became available on the iPad. So if you have an iPad, then you definitely want to take advantage of this because you can open your Word, your Excel, and your PowerPoint documents. You also have access to OneNote and your email exchange as well. But all of that is available in separate bits and chunks through the Office suite. So if you're a Microsoft person, then Office Mobile is definitely for you because now you can use your favorite programs. I once bought a netbook that was Bill Gates free. It was Microsoft free, and it worked pretty well. But you know, if you have a business and you work with other people who are in business, ultimately it comes back to Microsoft products. Now, I'm an avid reader. I love to read, and I always want to have something to do. One of the great lessons of time management that was given to me was that you should never suffer idle time. You can always plan idle time, but don't ever suffer it if it's foisted upon you. So when you're waiting at the dentist office, when you're waiting in a traffic jam, anytime you're stuck and you need something to read, I used to, and I still do to some degree, will tear out articles from the few magazines that I get so I can have a hard copy to read. But sometimes I like to pull out my smartphone or my iPad and read some articles. And a lot of times I'll come across things online that I just do not have time to read right then. I want to hang on to it. So what do? I put it in my Pocket. Download the Pocket app to your smartphone and then go into your, if you use Firefox or Chrome, I can't really tell you about Explorer because I just don't use it. But I do use Firefox and Chrome, and I know that on those browsers it's an add-on. You can go in and download the Pocket add-on. Anytime you see an article or a website that you like and you just don't have time to read it, you can click on the little Pocket icon, and it will save it. It will sync it directly to your smartphone so that you can pull up that article anytime. Now, the really cool thing about this is it shows you the article in a reader format that makes it very, very easy to read. Even in bright sunlight, even on one of those shiny smartphone glass thingamajigs, you know how it is in the bright. You can turn it black with white letters, which is fantastic. But let's say that you're in the middle of an article and you see a link. All the hyperlinks are live. All the hyperlinks work, and then you can go to the web view as well directly from the Pocket app. It's one of my favorite apps. I love it. I'm also a big fan of Genius Scan. For a long time, I would see a document that I needed, or a tag, or a label, or something that I wanted to keep, and I would take a picture of it. And I still do sometimes, but sometimes there are things that you need to share, you need to fax, you need to put into Dropbox, you need to share over another app, and you need a nice, clean, black and white copy of that, and Genius Scan does an outstanding job of that. Now, there are two versions of this. There's Genius Scan, which is free, and then there's the Genius Scan Pro. It's a few bucks. I have the free version, and I love it. I don't have to pay any more to do what I want to do. There are a lot of folks out there, though, who choose to pay for the full version. But with the Genius Scan app, you can take a picture, and even if you take a picture of something at an angle, then you can edit it, you can straighten it up, you can clarify it, and then you can share that through a lot of different media. Through your, you can upload it, you can share it over your email, you can share it to Dropbox, all kinds of things. But I really like this app for quick document scans, and it works really well. It's not as bulky as some of the other apps. I think it's a lot more intuitive than some of the other, like ScanSnap and so forth, which they do a great job too, and I've used them, but I always come back to Genius Scan. So sometimes you just need to be face-to-face or be working with other people. Well, Google Plus is a great way to do that. You can collaborate with up to 9 other people with a Hangout, as opposed to a Hangout on Air, which is what we're doing. I'm a big fan now of Google Drive. Started using it when it first came out, and I decided that since they were going to change from apps, from Google Apps to Google Drive, that I was going to give it a fair shot, and I really enjoy this. You can share documents with other people just like you can with Dropbox. But the really cool thing about Google Drive is that if everyone is working on a document at the same time, you can see who's working on it. You can see their changes as they make them, and they can see yours. So it's just like the commercial says when they have Hall & Oates writing man-eater on their commercial. If you haven't looked that up, it's really cool. Go check that out. It's a perfect illustration of what you can do with Drive. You can do the same thing with spreadsheets, with presentations, and with photographs. You can always edit those things as well. And recently, I've become a big fan of AnyMeeting. Now, on the app, when you download the app, you're not able to initiate a meeting. You would do that through the anymeeting.com website. But anymeeting.com, to me, it's like Skype on steroids. It's very easy to use, and I really enjoy the fact that if you're going to host a webinar or if you're going to host a meeting, you get a unique link, you send that link out, only those people can attend who have the link. So when they open that link, they pull that app up on the web on their smartphone, tap in the link, and they're immediately taken into the meeting. It's very clear. It's easy to use. The quality is fantastic, and I've been very, very impressed with this. I've tried several other types of meeting apps, and I have some good things to say about them, but I have a lot of bad things to say, so I'm going to leave it right there, and I'm going to leave you with AnyMeeting. Now, if you need to keep up with your numbers, if you need to get paid, all the good things that keep your business running, I have a few things here that you'll definitely want to take advantage of. I want to start with easy calculators, because this is not really a business app per se, but it has a lot of cool things, and it's free. If you've ever needed to figure out the time value of money, or if you've ever needed to calculate an interest rate, or if you've ever needed to calculate the APR on something, or do a 401k retirement calculator, or currency conversion, this thing does a great job. It has ROI calculators. It has just a plain calculator, oddly enough, but it also shows you a bond calculator, stock calculator, percentage calculator. It's all built right in, and it's very intuitive. You don't have to go back to the old Hewlett-Packard 12C reverse Polish notation, which I never did get the hang of, all those financial calculators. So if you're looking for a good basic financial calculator, Easy Calculators is fantastic. FreshBooks, this is an app that I have been turned on to in the past, but only recently really started to use it. Most of my business is service-based. I perform a service, I invoice for that service. And so FreshBooks keeps me from doing the thing that I always seem to do, and that is show up without an invoice. I'll print the invoice. My office is outside of my home. It's in the back, and so it's a separate entrance. I'll be watching television. I'll print an invoice. I'll forget to go take the invoice with me. So FreshBooks now, I can just email those invoices, and I can track those invoices. If you've ever had someone who said, I didn't get your invoice, I didn't get your email, well, now you have a way to track exactly when it was opened, when it was viewed, what was done with it. You can also keep up with your expenses in FreshBooks. FreshBooks is a subscription service, but you get a free 30-day trial. So this is, again, one of those things that you're going to try it out for 30 days, and you're going to get used to it, I promise you, and you're going to say, I love this, I can't do without it. So be prepared. Again, one of my best loved apps, and I keep it right on the front screen of my iPhone, is Expensify. If you keep up with expenses, if you have to turn in expense records, if you send expenses to your clients to be reimbursed, or if you have employees who need to submit expense reports, Expensify is awesome. Expensify app has a feature that I love. Again, I'm a forgetful kind of person. I don't do well with paperwork, and so Expensify takes all that hassle away from me. It used to take a lot of time for me to put together expense reports, gathering up all the receipts, putting everything into the spreadsheet. And our small company didn't have its own, expense form, so I had to create one. And then there's this little thing called losing receipts, which I was really, really bad to do. Now I pull out my smartphone, I snap a picture of the receipt, boom, pop it into the expense report automatically. I love Expensify now because you can also link it to your credit card. So if you have a business credit card that you only use for business, for travel, for inventory, for whatever, then you can link that card. All of those purchases go directly into your Expensify account with an IRS approved e-receipt. You don't have to keep up with your receipts because everything is verified, and it categorizes everything for you. And if you set up the categories the way you want it, and you set up some rules, it may take 10 or 15 minutes to do this, you'll never have to touch it again. Submitting a report is super easy, and I even know some small business owners who are not great bookkeepers. They're not good at keeping up with expenses and things like that. So what they do is create a separate expense report for each and every month, and then they have an automatic record of all their expenses for that month. So I highly recommend that you try something like that if you're not a paperwork or bookkeeping kind of person. But you really should be doing something to track your business expenses every single month beyond just balancing your checkbook. And there are a lot of folks out there who have told me, well, I have checks in my checkbook, so I have money in the bank. Not the last time I checked. So Expensify, you can also, again, use this for free, but if you have employees and you want them to use Expensify to submit expense reports to you, they do that on a monthly basis or however often you want it done, and it's $6 per report. But that report goes directly to you in email form. You have the ability to amend it, to approve it, deny it, send it on for final payment, reimbursement. And for those of you who are really, really techie out there, it actually allows you to have your reimbursement sent to you in the form of Bitcoin. But for those of us who like real money and you deal in hard things that can be sold in front of people, let's say you're an artist who does shows or fairs, or you have a hot dog cart. If you have a hot dog cart or a hamburger stand, you don't know about Square, you're really missing out. Square is an amazing little app that really changed the game in terms of getting paid with credit cards. And one of the biggest excuses I would hear from people who didn't take credit cards is, it costs me 3% of my income, and it's hard to keep up with, and I have to reconcile it, and then I have to rent this stinking machine. And look, the percentage is just what it is. It's a cost of doing business. Square is 2.75% for a swipe. It's a little bit more if you have to key the card in because the strip might be damaged on the back of the card, but 2.75%. Think about this for a second. Studies have shown that if people can spend money with a credit card, they're going to spend 46% more with you than if they have to pull out cash or write a check. It's a no-brainer, folks. There's a microbrewery in town where we live, and they have great beer, but they don't serve food. What they do is rent out a portion of their parking lot to a small trailer called the Cosmic Cafe, and it's awesome because they sell some fantastic hand-patted burgers, and their sales skyrocketed when they started taking Square. It also makes things a lot faster because people can leave a tip right there on the smartphone. They sign it with their finger. They get an email receipt or a text receipt, and the money goes into your bank the next day. So what are you waiting for? If you have something to sell, you should be using Square. Now, if you're selling online, sorry, Square doesn't work. They don't yet have an application that integrates with shopping carts. Don't know that that's in their plan, actually, but I do know that they have a Square marketplace. I was talking with a small jewelry company. It's a husband and wife team. They make handmade jewelry, and they put some of their products into the Square marketplace. So when people were shopping there for jewelry, they popped up. It's not a really crowded market space like eBay or Etsy. So they found that their sales really went up. They said it almost doubled just because of using Square. So you can go to squareup.com, sign up for that. It takes just a few minutes to put everything in. Now, if you have a more complicated business, a restaurant, or if you have a large number of SKUs, it's going to take you a while to set this up, but it would take you a while to set it up in almost any software that you might use. Mint, this is an often overlooked business app. A lot of people will use this for personal finances, but it's designed and it's owned by Intuit, the folks who make QuickBooks and Quicken and TurboTax. So you can't go wrong with this, but you link your bank accounts in Mint, and it will tell you every day what your balances are. It will tell you if there have been any unauthorized purchases, any large purchases. It'll give you low balance alerts. It'll help you balance your checkbook, but it gives you up-to-the-minute information about your financial accounts. So it's again, it's free. It's a free app. I highly recommend that you use it. How many of you are not keeping up with your money, with your cash flow on a daily basis? Shame on you. Mint will stop that. It'll make sure you have the information you need. Now, again, this is not an exhaustive list. There are a lot of other things that we could talk about. The Quicken or QuickBooks 2014 has an app. If you're using those, you probably already know that there's an app. But if you have those programs, please go ahead and do yourself a favor. Get the apps on your smartphone so that you can sync everything up. So if there's ever any question about do you have money in that account or anything else, you can pull it right up. Did that check clear? Boom, there it is. So again, whatever works for you. Now on to a sticky subject. This is something that really is near and dear to my heart because I do a lot of it. I know a lot of folks who travel, and a lot of folks are still doing it the old-fashioned way. And so I want to give you some apps that are going to change your life if you're not already using them. TripIt is probably my #1 favorite app of all time. I started using TripIt when it first came out. It was free, and I have since gone pro. I'm no longer an amateur. I pay the annual subscription for TripIt. Yes, I do, and I'm proud of it because when I travel and I use TripIt, I don't have to think about anything. And again, I'm not a detail-oriented person, so I love not having to think. TripIt keeps up with all of your itineraries. So when you book a hotel, when you book an airline flight, when you book a train, when you book anything, when you get that email that's confirming that booking, you can send that email to plans@tripit.com, or you can go into their website and set it up that it pulls directly from your email. So anytime TripIt yeah, I know it's a little spooky, folks. TripIt's reading your emails, but hey, who isn't these days? So TripIt sees in your email that you have an itinerary. It sees the words confirmation number, and it looks in that email and says, wow, this looks like a hotel booking. We're going to go ahead and create an itinerary for that. So it pulls it out, creates a nice little neat itinerary, and I have one that I just booked today. It's going to be by car, so there's no air travel, but it gives me exactly when my check in, and it tells me the exact location of the hotel. It tells me travel time, check-in time, who's going, gives me a map. I don't ever have to worry about where that number is if I ever lose it. Now, it also has another feature that I love. It's called Seat Tracker. Excuse me. So Seat Tracker, if you've ever booked an airline ticket, you may not know that you can choose your seat, unless you're the last person on the plane. If you get that last ticket, chances are you're going to have to sit in the back near the lavatory, so take what you get. At least you're on the plane. But if you book early enough, you may be able to choose your seat. Well, sometimes you get a seat close to where you want to be. One of my favorite seats is row 6 on the aisle. It's easy to get in and out. There's a personal confession of mine. But sometimes, as you get closer to flying, you'll find that there are better seats available. If you load TripIt on your smartphone, Seat Tracker takes over, and if a better seat on that flight comes available, you'll get an alert. It actually will help you move. Now, TripIt also will tell you if there is a better flight or a better price on a flight. So, or actually a better price on the same flight. There are hundreds and hundreds of changes, if not thousands of changes to ticketing prices, even on a daily basis. And you could put 235 people on an airplane and have about 200 different rates. That may be a slight exaggeration, but not much. So how do you know you're getting the best rate? Well, if you book, your itinerary gets picked up by TripIt. If it sees that there is a better rate for the same flight, it will alert you. Now, it's only going to alert you if the better rate is still better than the amount of money it costs you to change the flight. So if your reticketing fee is $200, TripIt's not going to let you know about the change unless you're going to save more than $200 or save more than that $200. So it might only be $5 or $10, but I've seen changes that have been able to save me $20 to $25. So it's not bad. It also keeps up with all of your points. So if you have a bag or a wallet full of all of your hotel cards, all of your air miles cards, your frequent flyer cards, all of those cards that are loyalty cards, but you have to keep up with the points, no longer. It not only keeps up with the numbers, but it also tracks your points. It will let you know if you have any points that are about to expire and you need to use them. So if you have let's say some hotel points that you need to use in the next 6 months, you'll start getting some alerts from TripIt. And they'll point you in the right direction to make sure that you don't let those things expire. Because points are like mulligans in golf. You can't just take it home with you. You gotta use it. Hipmunk. If you are using any other site to book air travel, I feel for you, because Hipmunk has really changed the way I shop for airline tickets. They also have now trains, where trains run, and they have hotel feature. But Hipmunk is a really cool design. It was designed to take the pain out of finding an airline ticket. Now, you may be wondering why Kayak is not on this list. I've used Kayak before. Kayak is still on my smartphone, but it's not on my preferred list. The commercials say one and done. Book one and done, Kayak. Yeah, makes it sound really easy. But there's a lot of wading through things to get to what you want or what you need in Kayak. So I found Hipmunk for you. Hipmunk, you put in your flight information, where you want to go, when you want to go, how many of you are going, and it gives you airlines by ticket price, by length of layover, length of flight, how many connections. And if you want, the default search is called Agony. It puts all of those things together and it finds you the least agonizing flight. So you might find one that's a little more expensive, but it's a direct flight. Hipmunk is going to give you that option first. So it's going to rank them based on the way you want to search for airline tickets. And it's a very simple interface. The interface on the app is very similar to the interface online. And so you can go in and search for flights, and then you can hover over a particular flight and it'll tell you exactly where it connects and how long the flight is, what kind of aircraft you're going to be flying, your layovers, and so forth. Absolutely love Hipmunk. Now you can book directly through Hipmunk. I think it uses a third-party site to book, but that's okay. I think it uses Orbitz. A lot of times I will search Hipmunk and then go directly to the airline site to try to find a little better rate. Sometimes the airlines will have a couple of dollars better direct rate through them. Now, you're not going to get Southwest Airlines, because Southwest only books through their website. And I don't believe you're going to get JetBlue either, but all of the other legacy airlines, you're going to get that. And you're also going to get mix and match airlines. So if you're flying United out and you're going to fly American back, it gives you those options. But when you get there, you got to know what's out there, what's good to eat, where should you stay, what are all the attractions that are worth your time. TripAdvisor. Anybody in the hospitality business needs to be watching their TripAdvisor ratings and comments, and a lot of folks in the hotel and restaurant business live and die by what people say on TripAdvisor. And you're going to get a lot of different input, but people do go to TripAdvisor to talk about the things that are important to them, and if they have a rotten meal, they're going to tell you about it. But if they have a fantastic meal, they're going to tell you about it too, and TripAdvisor is a great way to find that out. You're also going to find maps and locations. It makes it very easy to get around to all of the things that you need to do. But let's say you're flying back. Now you're in an unfamiliar airport. I fly out of Asheville, North Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina, and a lot of times I can fly through Atlanta, but I try to avoid it when I can. But let's say I'm in an airport out west. I've never been there before, but I want to know where the best food is, or where is there a place to go get my shoes shined or get a massage. I can go to Gate Guru. Gate Guru tells you exactly what is near each gate. It maps out each airport for you and keeps you from having to run around. So if you're in a hurry, now that you can keep your smartphone on during a flight, you know, from the time you land to the time you get off the plane, you can already have your route through the airport mapped out, know where you're going to stop for food, you're going to stop to shop, or whatever else it is that you're going to do. And Gate Guru has saved me a lot of time and made sure that I'm eating at the right places. Some of the best barbecue I ever had was in the Memphis airport, believe it or not. I mean, Memphis is known for good barbecue. I'm from North Carolina, so I'm a little biased. But I still had some great barbecue there in the Memphis airport and was entertained by none other than an Elvis impersonator. There's some other good things that can help you out in the airport. Seat Guru. This is actually in the TripAdvisor app, but it's also a standalone app. So I'm a short guy. I'm only about 5'7". I've never bumped my head on an overhead bin in my life. I don't need a lot of extra leg room, but I'm getting wider, so the middle seat is becoming less and less an option for me. So if you're the kind of person who needs a little extra leg room, if you need a little extra headroom, if you want to make sure that you're picking the aircraft with the best seats and getting the best, you know, sometimes that premium row might not hold the best seat. The exit row might not hold the best seat for you. You can go to Seat Guru. You can put in your flight. It will tell you exactly what aircraft you're flying and show you the best seat. So a lot of times I'll use Seat Guru when I'm booking air flight just to see if is there something better than 6B or 6C out there that I can book. You know, if you want a bulkhead row, it'll tell you that too. It'll also show you the premium rows that the airlines are going to charge you more for. And sometimes paying an extra $15 to $25 to get a really comfortable seat, folks, is absolutely worth it. So do that if you can. I have points with a lot of hotels. I'll usually directly book through those hotels, but sometimes I just need something quick, and Hotels.com is my preferred app to do that. If I'm driving down the road, of course, not doing this while I'm driving, but I'll pull over. I'll know that my next town is Nowheresville, and I'll pull up hotels and see what do we have there, where can I stay, and I'll book it. It's a snap. Plus, if you book 10 stays through Hotels.com, it averages out the cost of those, and you get an 11th night. It says free, but really it's up to the amount that you averaged over those 10 stays. Yelp. Yelp and Around Me, two different apps that do a lot of the same things. Let's talk about Yelp first. Yelp is a what's called one of those transparency tyranny websites, because people can say all kinds of things about your business, and you know, you can either ignore it, respond to it, or whatever. But Yelp is a huge source of information for people when they're traveling. They want to know, is this restaurant worth it? Is this shop worth it? They want to know what the reviews are. So they're going to go to Yelp, and Yelp will also show you, when you're traveling, walking directions. If you're in a strange city and you find this particular restaurant has really good reviews, how do I get there? You click your smartphone, and it will give you walking directions through either Google Maps or iMaps. I think it uses Google Maps as the default, but it will take you right to where you want to be. Now, Around Me is exactly what it sounds like. What is there around me in terms of coffee shops or banks or anything else that you might be looking for in a strange town? Is there a concert nearby? Is there a gas station close to me? It's a location-based app on steroids. So you click on Around Me, you tell it what you're looking for, and it will find you and say, okay, you're looking for an ATM, here's the closest ATM. Wi-Fi Finder does exactly the same thing for Wi-Fi. You know, smartphones are great, but if you've ever tried to use your smartphone as your Wi-Fi, it gets a little expensive, or it can, and unless you were grandfathered in under an older plan somewhere. But Wi-Fi Finder, you pull it up, it says, okay, here's where you are, here's where you need to go to get free Wi-Fi. And I use that all the time, either that or I just look for a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts. But if those things are not around, the Wi-Fi Finder does a fantastic job. Now, again, you may not have a business, but you may want to keep everything together. You may have, maybe like me, have trouble keeping some things together and keeping organized. So we have some great apps here, and I want to start with a Hootsuite first, because this just basically helps you keep your social media life together, rather than having to go to LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, Google Plus. You can load all of those things into Hootsuite, and you can pull those feeds directly up on your phone in one place. You can also schedule posts, so that makes it awful nice as well. So if you have a lot of different social media presence and you want to keep up with that, I encourage you to do Hootsuite. I'm going to talk about Easily Do and Tempo now. Tempo was my first love, but Easily Do is wooing me away. I really like both of these apps, and I've got to be honest with you, I'm using both of them simultaneously right now. One will ultimately win my heart, and the other one will just have to be kicked to the curb. Tempo is a smartphone app that really makes your phone smart. When you log into Tempo, you open an account. It's free. It gathers up all of your contact data, all of your social data, all of the information about the people you love the most, their birthdays and all that good stuff, and gets your calendar and says, what's on your calendars? Put all this stuff in here. So if you like to have a calendar that keeps you informed and keeps you straight and lets you know whose birthday is coming up, Tempo does a great job. If you like to see a calendar layout, Tempo is your go-to. I would recommend it, because in there you can actually pull up a calendar and look at it. And a lot of people don't like the format of Easily Do, because it's not so much a calendar, but it's a really cool visual of your day. It shows you all the things that you have coming up. It shows you pictures of everyone's birthday, so you can make plans to throw a party, buy a card, buy a gift. And But both of these apps have some really cool features that work well for businesses, because if you've ever had appointments that you travel to, you know invariably you're going to be delayed. Somebody's going to be late. It's going to throw your day into a tailspin. So what do? You're leaving one place, you're rushing madly to get to another place. You can pull up one of these apps and it will say, hey, you need to leave 37 minutes to travel from this location to the next location. Well, now you've got 27 minutes. You pull up one of these apps and it will let you send a text or an email automatically to this person. It knows who you're going, both of these apps know who you're going to visit. It knows their email address, their phone number, but it'll let you send them directly a message that says, I'm running 10 minutes late, or however many minutes late the app determines that you're running. It could be 14 minutes late, but it's going to let you send that so that you value the other person's time and honor their time, and it also keeps you from having to make that phone call where you're going to spend 5 minutes on the phone explaining why you're 5 minutes late. My advice to you is go ahead and load both of these. Try them out. Excuse me. Try both of these out for a while. Use them simultaneously. I'm more and more getting to be a big fan of Easily Do. I just think it's super intuitive, and it does a better job, I think, of reminding me of things, but there are times when I still like to open up a calendar and look at it. And for that, Tempo's still the one. All right, Evernote. This is the one I've been waiting for. I use this for everything. You probably have Evernote. If you've had a smartphone for more than 5 minutes, somebody has probably asked you, do you have Evernote? If you don't, get off your computer right now. Get off this Hangout. Go load Evernote. Evernote is a fantastic app that keeps up with everything. You never have to remember it because it's all right here. It was widely said, it's been widely said that Albert Einstein refused to remember things that he could write down. Of course, in his day, he believed that the brain had a finite capacity, that you could only remember so much, and so he wanted to fill his brain with important things and not unimportant things like how to tie his shoes or his address or his phone number. Well, now we know that the more you exercise your brain, the more capacity it generates. But Evernote keeps us from having to generate any more capacity. If you open up the website, if you load the add-on to your browser, you can add the Evernote clipper to Firefox or to Chrome. Gives you the ability to clip different components of stories or websites or entire websites, full pages, directly into Evernote. Gives you the ability to take pictures instead of having to keep up with all those business cards you got at the trade show. Now you can just take pictures of those and you have them. Well, how do you remember who you met? How do you remember who you talked to? Well, maybe you don't, but maybe you remember that the person you need to talk to worked at First Bank. You go to your app and you key in First Bank. Every word in every document and every picture that you put in Evernote is searchable. It has what's called OCR, ocular character reading, and it gives you the ability to search any word and anything that you put in Evernote. There's a reason their icon is an elephant. But it also helps you, it goes way beyond the basic to-do list or just being able to put in notes, because it also helps you keep up with these in the form of reminders. So you can actually put in reminders and tell Evernote to let you know when it's time to pull that app up, or to pull that, maybe you can sync it to pull that bid sheet up when you're in front of that client, and you don't even have to go searching for it. Evernote just pulls it right up for you. So these are some of my favorite apps. Again, it's not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the things that I use the most. I really enjoy. They're easy to use, and they're going to be around for a long time. I don't think there are any of the apps that I gave you today that are going to be gone tomorrow. They may get swallowed up by a larger company, but in most cases, these robust apps, when they get bought by larger companies, become more robust. They want to do more with them. They don't want to shelve them. So if there's something that you've worked, I would love to know about it. And if there are topics that you want me to discuss on future Hangouts, connect with me. Add me here on Google+. You'll see my Facebook information there, and as we go off the air, these things are going to be going away too. So make sure you find me. If you just Google me, you'll find me, Russ Siegel. And let me know what you want to cover in the next Hangout. And I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, stay AppSmart.